ओके, गुड इवनिंग फ्रेंड, वेलकम टू अ चैनल एग्जाम्पुल IAS इंग्लिश मीडियम। आप सभी का हमारे परिवार एग्जाम्पुल में स्वागत है। सो टुडे इन दिस सेशन वी आर गोइंग टू डिस्कस द मोस्ट इंपॉर्टेंट करंट अफेयर ऑफ 13th of August 2022। जल्दी से जल्दी सेशन के लिए जुड़ जाइए। ओके, चलिए, गुड इवनिंग मृदुल। सो today we are going to discuss regarding the booster dose. The government has announced that we can go for the booster dose of Corbevax. Now, before starting the session, let us know why do we need booster dose. The concept is why do we need booster dose. बताइए मृदुल जी, what is the requirement of booster dose? So before starting this, let us know why do we need booster dose and how our immune system work. How our immune system work. So okay, first of all, we should know how our immune system work, and apart from that, what is the why there is a requirement for booster dose. So how our immune system work? How our immune system works. Is it okay? How our immune system work? So if you see in the case of COVID-19, welcome Ajit ji. Let us consider the case of coronavirus, how it works and how it is penetrating into our cell. If you see the structure of coronavirus, it is like this. Okay, this is your single-stranded RNA. The genetic material, इसको क्या कहते हैं? Single-stranded RNA. Single-stranded RNA. Okay, RNA. And apart from that, on the surface, a spike protein is being attached. This is the spike protein. Okay, this is the spike protein. In our body, if you see, there are certain special cells over which ACE2 enzymes are being found. So, let the cell is, there are certain cells in our body, cells like liver cell, heart, lungs cells, in which ACE2, its full form is angiotensinogen converting enzyme. ACE2 angiotensinogen converting enzyme. ठीक है? Okay. So suppose this is your lung cell. ये क्या आपका? This is your lung cell. तो lung cell में what is there? Lung cell में it is your, this enzyme is there. This is called ACE2 enzyme. This is called ACE2 enzyme. ACE2 enzyme. Okay. Now, how the virus penetrates into a body? A spike protein, listen to my word, a spike protein is having greater binding affinity with those of ACE2 enzyme. Are you getting my point? A spike protein that is present on the surface of the coronavirus is having greater binding affinity with that of your ACE2 enzymes. इन दोनों के बीच में काफी ज्यादा प्यार मोहब्बत है. So you can write it over there. A spike protein जो है, a spike protein is having greater binding affinity with ACE2 enzyme. Okay, and because of this affinity, through a spike protein, virus enters into our body. This is how the virus penetrates into our body. So, okay, now we have to see, basically, this is what we have discussed, how coronavirus penetrates into our body. So, we have seen the main culprit, or you can say the main protein that is responsible for penetrating into our body is the spike protein. If we somehow damage the spike protein, we can save ourselves from the coronavirus. So, this was the basic concept over which the scientists have started to generate vaccines. Okay, ठीक है. Now we will see basically how vaccine works. ठीक है, चलिए. Okay, we will see how vaccine works. Just normally we will see, so that we can think of why do we need our booster dose. वैक्सीन के लिए काफी टाइम हो गया है, तो मे बी उसको अगेन इम्यून सिस्टम को इफेक्ट भी लेस हो गया, इसके लिए बूस्टर डोज जरूरी। ओके, दिस इज द नॉर्मल लैंग्वेज, बट व्हेन वी आर डिस्कसिंग द साइंटिफिक वी शुड बी नोइंग लिटिल बिट मोर। आपका आंसर सही है। सो देखिए व्हाट व्हाई बूस्टर डोज इज रिक्वायर्ड। सपोज if you think of Pfizer vaccine, have you guys heard of Pfizer vaccine, how it is being manufactured? Basically we have seen Covishield vaccine, Covaxin, and apart from that Pfizer vaccine. So I'm taking the example of Pfizer vaccine so that at the same time we can discuss regarding the production of how the vaccines are being manufactured utilizing mRNA technology, that is called messenger RNA technology. ठीक है? Okay, so let us see the example of how our immune system work. ठीक है ना, how our immune system work, how our immune system work, how our immune system works, how our immune system works. Okay, so let us take the example of COVID-19 itself, COVID-19 vaccination itself. So we are taking the example of Pfizer vaccine that works on the principle of your mRNA technology. So Pfizer vaccine and how it is being manufactured using mRNA technology. mRNA technology already I have discussed. You might be knowing the process of, let us discuss, you might be knowing the process of central dogma of molecular biology, in which we discuss the process of transcription and translation. Suppose if you consider the cell, in the cell if you enter into the nucleus, there are chromosomes, inside chromosomes DNA strands are there. In the DNA what genetic informations are being embedded. In the DNA genetic informations are being embedded. That means you can call it the genetic informations are in the coded form. Now what will happen? There are certain enzymes that is called RNA polymerase enzyme. These enzymes are basically responsible for copying the genetic information embedded into the DNA into the mRNA strand. Are you getting my point? RNA polymerase enzymes, these are basically responsible for copying the genetic information in DNA to messenger RNA. Okay, so this process is called transcription. In transcription, all the genetic information of DNA are being embedded into the messenger RNA. Now this messenger RNA, it will try to move out from the nucleus and it will enter into the cytoplasm. In the cytoplasm, it will move towards the ribosome. Ribosome, it will try to decode the genetic information embedded into the mRNA and it will try to form the respective protein. This is called your translation. So we will see how Pfizer vaccine is being manufactured using mRNA technology. So अब यहाँ पे क्या होगा? Suppose COVID-19, this is a COVID virus. So already genome sequencing is being done. So through genome sequencing, now you are quite aware regarding all the genetic information present in the COVID virus. And what is the necessity? In the beginning itself, we have seen how the virus infects our cell, and through that, we can acknowledge that spike protein is the main culprit. A spike protein is responsible, and because of this, it enters into our body. So what we will do? We will take a mRNA strand. This is a mRNA strand. mRNA messenger RNA strand, and in it, what we will do? We will feed the genetic information of what? This genetic information are being feeded. What type of genetic information? Genetic information is spike protein, because we have seen that a spike protein is only responsible for penetrating into a cell. So this is the genetic information externally added. Genetic information of a spike protein. Now what we will do? Now we will try to. Now this has become a vaccination, and we will vaccinate it. Now what will happen? This mRNA strand, when it will enter into a cell, okay, this mRNA strand, this is a mRNA strand in which we have added the genetic information of a spike protein. It will enter into our cell, and in the cell it will go to the cytoplasmic portion in which it will encounter ribosome. This is your ribosome. Now what is the responsibility of ribosome? Basically ribosome, it is known as protein synthesis. ठीक है ना? A ribosome, it is responsible for the process of translation. That means the genetic information that is being externally added into the mRNA, now it's the responsibility of messenger RNA to decode. So what The genetic information of what? The genetic information is added in spike protein. So ribosome, what it will do? Ribosome जो है, it will try to decode and it will try to form the amino acids. And that amino acid, when they are coalesced, it will form the spike protein. Simply, if you say the genetic information of spike protein, it is there in the messenger RNA. It has been vaccinated. It will it will enter into the cell. It will encounter ribosome. And ribosome, what it will do? It will try to decode this genetic information. While decoding, it will form the spike protein. Now, what will happen? Think of it. This spike protein will form. Now, just let me know. When you talk about this spike protein, it is a foreign material because the command is not being delivered from ourselves. Rather, the command is given through the vaccination process. That means it is externally added. So the spike protein that is being produced in your body, it's not the command of our cell. It is externally added. So it's a foreign material. ये क्या हो जाएगा? It is a foreign material. It is a foreign material. ये क्या? Foreign material. So foreign material. Now what will happen? Now what will happen? Citing this as a foreign material, our immune system will get activated. Particularly if you talk our immune system in B lymphocytic cell. B lymphocytic cell. It will get activated. B lymphocytic cell जो है, it will get activated. Now it will think, अरे how does this foreign material penetrates into a body? So after certain delay, after activation, it will release antibody. It will release antibody. These antibodies are being released. What is this? This antibody. Okay, and this is what? This is your antigen. This is your antigen. So now what will happen? This antibody, it is going to neutralize. It is going to neutralize this antigen. But at the same time, what will happen? Since this B lymphocytic cell, it has been activated and it has released the antibody. So the development of immunological memory will take place. In this portion, what will happen? The development of immunological memory. Immunological memory will get developed. This is called immunological memory. Immunological memory. Now, what is immunological memory? While B lymphocytic cells has released the antibody, there is a development of immunological memory. Immunological memory basically restores that it has released antibody towards certain antigen. So it remembers the antigen, it remembers the genetic information of antigen over which antibodies is being released. So when you talk about the immunological memory, immunological memory, it basically restores the genetic information of antigen, the genetic information of antigen, it basically restores the genetic information of antigen for which antibodies are being released, are being released. Okay, that means what? It remembers that it has released antibodies towards this particular antigen. Now this is called how our immune system get developed toward when you take vaccination. Okay, so now you can see, instead of sending the complete virus, we have taken just the genetic information of a spike protein and we have added into the mRNA strand, and same thing has been vaccinated, and the ribosome converted that messenger RNA into the spike protein, but this spike protein appears to be a foreign material and that has been recognized by your B lymphocytic cell, and B lymphocytic cell, after recognizing, it has released antibody. ठीक है ना? Now what will happen? It has developed the immunological memory. Now when original virus will try to penetrate on our body, now this is the original virus. Okay, it has tried to penetrate into a body. It has entered into a body. Okay, it has entered into a body. Now what will happen? This particular immune system, it will try to remember whether I have released certain antibody towards this antigen. Yes. Then through immunological memory, it will remember that yes, I have definitely released the antibody, because it restores the genetic information of that spike protein. So within a very less time, what it will do? It will release the antibody. And this original virus will also get neutralized. So this is how our immune system basically works. So the basic funda or the basic function of vaccination is to train our body. Okay. So this is the first case. Now, why the booster dose are being required? Why the booster? See, generally when you talk about any vaccination process, we need to take 2 doses, but now this is what we have to take the 3rd doses, because if you consider the cases of COVID-19 virus, the COVID-19 virus जो है, it is the genetic material inside the COVID-19 virus is your RNA single stranded. So when we talk about the RNA single stranded, it has the tendency to mutate. If it was DNA, so there was very less chance that it will try to mutate. But when you talk about this COVID virus, since the genetic material inside it is your RNA, the tendency is very high for the mutation, and it has mutated also. So due to mutation, what happens? Due to mutation, जो है, our immunological memory little bit weakens, because every time it is encountering certain new antigens. New antigens, the mutated antigen, the mutated spike protein. Okay. So our immunological memory जो है, it weakens over time. So to boost our immunological memory, we talk about booster dose. We think of booster dose. ठीक है ना? So that is why we require the booster dose, and at the same time we have seen how the vaccination system works. ठीक है ना? Is it okay? Mridul, is it okay? Kindly let me know. If there is any doubt, please do let me know. Is it okay? Please do let me know. So I've asked you what is the requirement of booster dose. So we have seen that the virus, because of the presence of RNA genetic material, it has the tendency to mutate, and it is continuously mutating also. And due to the mutation, what happens? The spike protein that was originally there, it has been mutated. There are a lot of places in which the spike protein has been mutated. So we talk about mutated protein. So when it enters into your body, no doubt, due to immunological memory, it releases certain antibodies, but it has to work because the spike protein has been mutated. To boost our immunological memory, we go for your booster dose. ठीक है? Is it okay? Where are our other students, Midul? ठीक है? Okay. So basic fundamentals should be cleared. So now we will see what is the case study. So the government has announced that those persons that have taken the first doses or second doses of Covishield or Covaxin, now they can go for the booster dose of Corbevax. Actually, what happens generally, it has been seen that if you have taken 2 doses of Covaxin, or if you have taken 2 doses of Covishield, the 3rd doses जो है, it will be of the same vaccine. मतलब if you have taken 2 doses of Covaxin, then the 3rd doses जो है, it will be of Covaxin itself. Or if you have gone for the Covishield 2 doses, then you have to take the Covishield as a 3rd dose. But the government or Indian Council of Medical Research, it has recognized that if you take another vaccine as a booster dose, then our immune system will be little bit stronger. That's why, ठीक है ना? Then our immune system will be little bit stronger, and because of that only the government has preferred to go for the third or you go for the booster doses of Corbevax. ठीक है? चलिए. Now, what is Corbevax vaccine? Little bit. So the Corbevax is India's first indigenously developed receptor binding domain protein subunit vaccine against COVID-19 with 2 doses scheduled 28 days apart. So it has been developed indigenously, and apart from that, it's a receptor binding domain protein vaccine in which there is a gap of around 28 days for first vaccine and first doses and the second doses, and apart from that, you can store this vaccine at a temperature range of around 2 to 8 degrees Celsius. Okay, this is a COVID vaccine. So recombinant protein subunit. When you talk about the Corbevax vaccine, it is a recombinant protein subunit vaccine, which means it is made up of a specific part of SARS-CoV-2, the spike protein on the virus surface. So here also in this vaccine also, the antigen is what? The antigen is a spike protein. ठीक है ना? Antigen is spike protein. Okay, चलिए, spike protein. Now let us discuss what are the different types of vaccine. You might be knowing the types of vaccine. Inactivated vaccine. When you talk about the inactivated vaccine, in this vaccine what happens? Basically, the vaccination means training our body. So how to train our body? We can train our body by sending the dead virus, by sending live attenuated virus, or by the process of messenger RNA. So when you talk about the inactivated vaccine, suppose the virus it is there, we will kill the virus with certain chemicals. Now virus is dead, the virus is completely dead. ठीक है ना? It cannot harm our body. So that's called inactivated vaccine. When you talk about the live attenuated vaccine, in live attenuated vaccine, what we will do? We will try to burn the genetic material. We will try to burn the genetic material of the virus so that when it enters into your body, it hijacks our host machinery and tries to reproduce. ठीक है ना? But when we will burn the genetic material, it cannot replicate. It cannot replicate. So that is the live attenuated vaccine. And one thing you must remember, the performance or the efficacy of live attenuated vaccine is greater than that of your inactivated vaccine. And the third one is your messenger RNA vaccine. Already we have discussed regarding how the Pfizer vaccine is being manufactured using mRNA vaccine. So this was your first topic. ठीक है? चलिए, okay. Now we have to discuss, is it clear everyone? We have to discuss significance of India's talk with NATO. Now looking at the importance of NATO, North Atlantic Treaty Organization, ठीक है ना? India is quite interested to develop dialogue with the NATO, because if you see the NATO जो है, it is moving closer to your China, it is moving closer to your Pakistan, ठीक है ना? That's why India also wants to develop certain relation with the NATO. So why the NATO is being important? NATO is being important because we have seen during the Russia-Ukraine crisis the significance of NATO. Apart from that, we have to look little bit the historical background of NATO. So India held its first political dialogue with the North Atlantic Treaty Organization in Brussels in December 12, 2019, with the aim to assess cooperation on regional and global issues of mutual. Welcome, Aman Singh. How are you? Regional and global issues of mutual interest. The talk was primarily political in character. ठीक है ना? Okay. Now we have to see why basically India wants to get connected with the NATO. The first important thing is what? NATO engagement with Pakistan and China. NATO has been quite engaged in Pakistan and China. Even the NATO has taken the responsibility for selective training of Pakistan officers. If NATO want to engage with Pakistan, apart from that, NATO if wants to engage with China, then how India will be left behind. But there are certain conditions. NATO is what? If you think about the NATO is an organization supported by US, okay, and it has almost 28 to 29 countries under the NATO organization. If you attack any of the countries, suppose if any of the countries is being attacked, suppose Spain is being attacked, then the complete NATO will fight for Spain. ठीक है ना? If Pakistan want to develop certain relationship with the NATO, then India should also try to develop certain relationship with the NATO. But the problem is that NATO is against Russia. ठीक है ना? So if you want to develop certain relationship with the NATO, then that means what? You are moving away from the Russia. So this is the main crisis. But we have to develop relationship with the NATO. ठीक है ना? Common ground, if you see the NATO, the common ground is here. There is a convergence in the perspective of both NATO on China, terrorism, Afghanistan, including Pakistan in Afghanistan. So NATO recognizes that terrorism should be avoided. Apart from that, Pakistan's role in Afghanistan, how the Taliban was being supported to Pakistan, it has been recognized. Apart from that, NATO also supports maritime security. So these are the certain agendas which are direct coherence with the India's agendas also. Now we will see limitations of India-NATO talk. What are the limitations? The first limitation is what? India is closer to Russia. And NATO organization was being formed to curtail the power of Russia. So this is one of the problem with NATO. If India is directly joining the NATO organization, that means it is moving from the friendly ties of Russia. So this is one of the relations. Apart from that, when you talk about the NATO take China as a opportunity and as a challenge also. Opportunity means why? Opportunity because China is having the greater resources. Apart from that, China through Belt and Road Initiative, strings of pearls policy, it is developing opportunities for the other countries. But at the same time, when you think, if you think, China is taken as a challenge because China because of its Belt and Road Initiative and strings of pearls policy, it is trying to cover the complete world. Apart from that, the deterrence of the countries are being challenged. Just if you see the example of Sri Lanka, China has given loan for the development of Hambantota port, but Sri Lanka failed to return the loan, and because of this, the Sri Lanka has signed a lease for a period of 99 years that China can utilize this Hambantota port for a period of 99 years. Now think of it, that China, what China will do? China will put certain submarines on Hambantota port. Now the security of Sri Lanka has been challenged. If अब मान के चलो चाइना का अगर सबमरीन अगर श्रीलंका के पास रहेगा, then what is the security of Sri Lanka? Apart from that, if the submarines are being placed near to Sri Lanka, our own deterrence are being challenged. India own deterrence are being challenged. So China has taken it both as a challenge and as an opportunity. ठीक है ना? Apart from that, Taliban as a political entity. NATO considers Taliban as a political entity. But when we think of, but India do not recognize Taliban as a political entity. India basically recognizes Taliban as a terrorist organization. So these are the certain factors that limits the India NATO talk. ठीक है, चलिए ओके. So way forward में क्या? Continue engagement with India on a mutual agreed agenda. Geostrategic position of India in NATO views, India given its geostrategic position and unique perspective on various issues was relevant to international security, could be important partner in informing the alliance between India's own region and beyond, considering proposal from the NATO. So when you talk about the way forward, first of all क्या होगा? Looking how the NATO is being engaged towards Pakistan and China. India should also develop relationship with the NATO, but not at such a level that our friendly relationship with Russia will get challenged. Apart from that, there should be certain mutual goals on which NATO and India should work. Just like maritime security should be promoted, terrorism should be curtailed. So these are the things over which both the things should work. ठीक है ना? चलिए ओके. This is NATO. चलिए current affair. Now we have to see global employment trends for youth. ILO, International Labour Organization. Good evening, Sumit. How are you? Sumit? Is it clear? Clear hai? Now we will see global employment trends for youth. So it has been released by International Labour Organization. Now what is the context? If you see, recently the International Labour Organization ILO has released a report titled Global Employment Trends for Youth 2022, Investing in Transforming Future for the Young People. So the report is being released so that we can identify the loopholes, why there has been decline in the employment, why gender parity is not being maintained, and over which we can work so that the employment can enhance. I'm fine, Sumit. Now what finding globally, what is there in the report? Gender disparity in employment to population ratio. Gender disparity means what? Gender disparity refers to that in comparison to women, males are being engaged more. Are you getting open? When you talk about the gender disparity, that means what? In comparison to women, males are being engaged more. So if you will study on a global scale, you'll see that men are being engaged or men are being employed 1.5 times of women. How much? 1.5 times of women. So this reflects the gender disparity. So we should work towards the gender equality. First of all, apart from that, if you see pandemic impact youth employment. So we see pandemic, when you talk about the COVID-19 pandemic, the complete global economy was shut down, and because of that, the young people that recently joined the job, they were being kicked out from the organization. So because of that, there was a huge number of unemployment being created because of pandemic. The COVID-19 pandemic has worsened the numerous labor market challenges facing those aged between 15 and 24 years who have experienced a much higher percentage loss in employment than adults in 19. Because see, if there is an organization and a person has been working for the last 20 years, so definitely he will have greater experience, and a person has joined recently, so who will be kicked out? The recent person, because his learning, his productivity is not more as compared to the old age. So definitely his job is at stake. His or her job at stake. उसके बाद when you talk about the regional difference on a global scale, we are talking about the regional scale. On a global scale, the recovery in youth unemployment is projected to diverge between low and middle income countries on the one hand and high income countries on the other hand. High income countries are the only ones expected to achieve youth unemployment rates close to those of 2019 by the end of 2022. See, if you see the regional differences, there are low income countries, middle income countries, and high income countries. So when you talk about the high income countries, the job lost can be recovered by the end of 2022. But when you think of low and middle income countries, here the window gap period is more. That means more time is required to engage the youth that has left the job during the COVID-19 period. Benefits of green and blue economy: an addition of 8.4 million jobs, 84 lakh jobs may be created for young people by the end of 2030 through green and blue investment, notably in clean and renewable energy, sustainable agriculture, recycling and waste management. So when you think of how to engage more youth, there is an opportunity called green and blue economy, in which we can think, which has the potential to create more than 84 lakhs of jobs by 2030. And apart from that, this can be done with the help of renewable energies, apart from the sustainable agriculture, aquaculture, pisciculture. So more people can be engaged in this regard. Now, if you think of India, we have studied regarding the global employment. Now, when you think of India, decline in youth employment, the youth employment participation rate declined by 0.9%. The youth employment participation rate declined by 0.9% over the first 9 months of 2021 related to its value 2020, while it increased by 2% for adults over the same time period. The situation is particularly severe for young people between 15 to 20 years of age. ठीक है ना? So here also decline in youth employment because of COVID-19. And apart from that, if you see low young female employment, ठीक है ना? Low young female employment. So on a global scale, we have seen that in comparison to women, 1.5% more males are being engaged, and same can be seen in the case of India. There is a very low young female participation in workforces. Indian young women experience larger relative employment losses than the younger men in 2021 and 2000. During the time of COVID-19, we have seen that no doubt there were job losses for men and for young men and as well as young women. But if you see comparatively, younger female have left more job. Younger female in comparison to the male, they have left more job. In general, the high youth employment losses in India drive up global average unemployment losses. So it is because of India. Because if you see the cases of India, the population of India is around 150 crore है ना, तो 150 crore. And यहाँ पे अगर जो female participation rate की बात करेंगे, it is very low. It is very much minimum. So it has huge impact on the global finding also. It's a huge impact on the global effect also. Now recommendation, what recommendation? Promotion of decent working condition for, now if you want that all male should get engaged, so you should promote decent working condition for young workers. Apart from that, female participation should be engaged. And for female participation, if in an organization there are female employees, then the organization should provide the crèche facility so that the kids can be supported. Apart from that, young workers should be ensured that they enjoy fundamental rights and protection, including freedom of association, right to collective bargaining, equal pay for work for equal value, freedom from violence and harassment at work. So these are the certain things that must be ensured. That means the workers जो है, they should enjoy fundamental rights, protection against freedom of association, right for collective bargaining, equal pay for equal work. These are the certain things that must be ensured. Young people should be provided with well-functioning labor markets with decent job opportunities for those already participating in the labor market, along with quality education, training opportunities for those. Now, there are certain changes that should be ensured. First of all, what? The government should enhance its skilling program so that our young workers, whether it is young male or young female, they should be properly skilled. Even in the engineering institution, what we have seen, the students, they are more concentrated toward the bookish value. But when you talk about the industry, rather than obviously you must be well acquainted with the theoretical concept, but at the same time, you should be quite familiar with the practical work. So in the engineering institution, more emphasis should be given towards the vocational training. After 4th semester, 6th semester, they should be given. They should be it should be made compulsory for the vocational training so that they can earn the practical learning in the organization. Apart from that, industry college interface. Industry college interface means if suppose industry is there, it is working on certain research, then it must develop certain coordination with the college so that the college and industry would work together. And in that particular research, young engineers must be engaged. So there are certain things over which we can raise our employment ratio. ठीक है? Is it okay? Any doubt? Sumit ji, Anshu Gautam, Mridul, Aman Singh, is it clear? Any doubt, Anshu Gautam? Please do comment. Any doubt? बताइए. Up to any doubt? Any doubt till here? Sumit, Ansu Gautam, Mridul? पता है, आई एम नॉट गेटिंग अ फीडबैक. ठीक है. Now we have to discuss another topic. Already we are quite familiar regarding the coronavirus, and after that we are having no sir, all clear, all done. Okay, see, we have started, listen to my words, we have started to deliver our lecture in English. It's just because of your, so that you can enhance your competitive skills, because if you guys are preparing for UPSC through English medium, then what happens when we try to deliver the thing in Hindi medium, then your mind has to convert those things in the English medium, English thing. Okay, now direct interaction, when you try to convey the thing in English, क्या होगा, you try to recall all the things in English, उससे क्या होगा, your delivery will become very much productive. ठीक है. Okay, now already we have seen regarding COVID virus, and already we are quite familiar with the monkeypox virus. Now there is another virus called Langya virus. ठीक है ना. So you can see, amid the COVID-19 and monkeypox cases around the new zoonotic means it will get transferred from animal to human. Just we have seen the cases of COVID-19, coronavirus. Actually, the coronavirus was found in the bats. After from bat, it has been transferred to the pangolin, and after pangolin, it has been transferred to the human. So basically, if you see, it is being transferred from animals to human. So the transferring from animals to human is called zoonotic disease. It is called zoonotic disease. So when you talk about the Langya virus, it's an also zoonotic disease. That means it can be transferred from animals to human. So amid the COVID-19 and monkeypox cases around the new zoonotic Langya virus has raised concern. The first case of the Langya virus was reported in 2019. The first case, it was reported in 2019. And apart from that, if you see, the Langya virus has been classified among the biosafety level 4. That means it is very much dangerous. It is very much dangerous because it falls into the category of biosafety level 4. See, if you see, there are basically 4 types of biosafety level, depending upon the transmission risk, depending upon how easily it can be transmitted, depending upon how severe it is, depending upon the symptoms, depending upon the death rate. We can classify the virus into biosafety level 1, 2, 3, 4. If you see in the case of biosafety level 1, तो यहाँ पे क्या होता है, microbes are not known to consistently cause disease in immunocompetent adult humans of minimal potential hazard of laboratory personnel, example skin bacteria. So if you see the biosafety level here, the transmission rate is very less, and apart from that, death rate is negligible. Means it can be easily cured, and apart from that, those person who have good immunity, they cannot be affected. When you talk about the biosafety level 2, microbes poses moderate potential hazard to person and environment. That means what? Here little bit hazard is there. Example, herpes simplex, cold common virus, and Salmon virus, Salmon bacteria, sorry. So here when we talk, here also transmissibility is there, but the death rate is very low. When we talk about the biosafety level 3, indigenous so when you talk about the biosafety level 3, indigenous exotic microbes that may cause serious and potentially lethal disease. So when you talk about the biosafety level 3, you must know COVID-19. When you talk about the COVID-19, it falls under the biosafety level 3. COVID-19 जो है, it falls under the biosafety level 3. But Langya virus जो है, it falls under biosafety level 4. Example, Ebola virus, smallpox virus. That means here transmissibility is very high. It can be easily transferred. Apart from that, the death rate is very high, and the severity and the symptoms generated by the Langya virus is very high. So we should be careful. Okay. Now we have to see what is Langya virus. So already we have discussed, it's a zoonotic disease. That means it can be transferred from animals to human. So Langya virus is a zoonotic virus, which means it can be transmitted from animals to human. Langya virus is a part of genus virus, which is a single-stranded RNA genome. Now think of it. जो Langya virus जो है, it's a single-stranded RNA. ठीक है ना? Single-stranded stranded RNA. What does it reflect? It reflects that it is also having the high possibility of mutation. It reflects that it is having high possibility of mutation. Possibility of mutation. Just we have seen in the cases of COVID-19 virus. Unique features of hantavirus are their larger genomes, long untranslated region that are over 100 amino acids longer than any other known phosphoprotein in the family. ठीक है ना? It is an emerging cause of zoonosis in the Asia Pacific region. Now we will see the newly discovered Langya virus is phylogenetically distinct hantavirus. You do not have to remember these things because these are technical things. The other virus of the type hantavirus discovered earlier are Mosing, Ghanaian, Cedar, Nipah, and Hadda. Langya genome organization is identical to that of the hantavirus, and that is closely related to Mosing hantavirus, which was discovered in southern China. So what we have to remember from Langya virus, the first of all, the Langya virus, it falls under the biosafety level 4. That means it is more severe than the COVID virus. Apart from that, if you see, it has having the genetic material of single-stranded RNA, negative orientation. That means it is having higher possibility to get mutated. So if it mutates, then definitely जो है, if I have been infected with the Langya virus for the first time, then what will happen? My immune system will develop the immunity against this virus because it will develop immunological memory, but the virus will get mutated. So what will happen? My immunological memory fails to detect that virus because it has been mutated, and because of it the severity become very strong. ठीक है? Okay. Now symptoms के बारे में बात करेंगे. When you talk about the symptoms associated with this, fever है, fatigue, cough, nausea, headache, loss of appetite, etc. Treatment, there is no licensed drug or vaccine meant for human. Till date, if you consider, the medicines and vaccines are not being available. So what needs to be done? If you go to the doctor prescribes the medicine as per the symptoms generated. If you are having the paracetamol, if you are having the fever, the doctor will prescribe a PCM, just like that. Is it okay? How impactful is Langya virus? Langya virus may potentially be fatal to human in case of severe infection. Langya belongs to the same family of virus as deadly Nipah virus that is typically found in bats. ठीक है ना? So from bats it is being transferred to human. So this was the today's session. I hope कि आप लोगों को चीजें समझ में आई होंगी. Any doubt? We are having another session at 9 p.m. in which we are going to discuss the most relevant current affair of means. So do not. Aman Singh, is it clear? Sumit ji, Anshu Gautam, is it clear? जल्दी से बताएं. So from 9 p.m. again we are having another session in which we are going to take the important current affair for science and tech. And remember, if any doubt is there, please do intervene in my lecture. If any doubt persists, please do intervene in my lecture. We are here to address all your doubts. ठीक है ना? मेरे क्लास में अगर आप आके डाउट लेके जाते हैं, it's useless to give the lecture. So whatever the doubt it is there, please do let me know. ठीक है? So चलो, thanks a lot everyone. जय हिंद, जय भारत.